everybody. Welcome to the Alex Cuesta Daily Show. Thank you all for joining me. As always, I hope everybody had a stupendous weekend. It is January 31st of 2022. It is a Monday. It is actually birthdays for two of my family members. So to you two, happy birthday. Not going to say who you are, but if you're listening, you know I'm giving you a shout out. Before we get going into anything, as always, I really would appreciate if anybody listening to this would like, share, follow, subscribe, rate us 5 stars, and spread the word. Word of mouth is always going to be the biggest way that we grow, and constantly sharing us, giving us good ratings, that'll push us up and will expose more people to this podcast and grow it in popularity. And that can only benefit anyone that enjoys this, because the bigger we get, the more I can do and the more fun we get to all have while doing it. Social media stuff, go search the Alex Cuesta Show on anywhere you can find social media. You'll find us there. Go give us a follow on those. And we're going to do something a little different than I have been doing today. I've been doing this for now, the Daily Show, for now about 2 weeks-ish, I want to say. And it has been nothing but me finding articles that I absolutely fucking hate and just ripping them apart, going piece by piece, being disgusted with every new paragraph I read. And this is probably the second or third time I've read that story, because I go over a bunch. The ones that I like, I put to the side, reread them all again, and then kind of keep narrowing it down. I get in David's ear, send him 1,000, see which ones he likes, get his opinion and stuff like that. So it's a process during the day to get it right. And I'm reading and I'm getting more annoyed every time I read these stories. So by the time I get to the show, and I normally record like later in the evening, by the time I get there, I'm already really annoyed at the article. It pisses me off to read it. And you guys have heard it. I just kind of go off. And, you know, it's something that it's not super healthy to always be pissed off. Now, this is coming because I was listening to Jordan Peterson talk, who is a psychologist from Canada. You may have heard of him. Really popular guy. Wrote 12 Rules for Life, which is one of the best books I've ever read. And Beyond Order, which is a follow-up for that, 12 More Rules for Life, and another really good book. He's a really positive man, a really simple man in the way he speaks, very blunt, which is appreciative. And the guy has changed many lives with just the things that he said. If you haven't heard of Jordan Peterson yet, I definitely recommend going on there. His website, I know, is jordanbpeterson.com. You can go and also listen to his podcast or go on YouTube. He's popular there. Any of his lectures there. The guy is extremely smart. Sometimes he speaks well over my head, but he's an inspirational man. So I was listening to Jordan Peterson speak on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he mentioned something that they were talking about people, and it was a 4-hour podcast, and they were talking kind of about mutual people they know, and they were talking about how someone is just, you know, extremely kind all the time, just very nice all the time. And Dr. Peterson said, you know, being kind all the time is difficult. It's not easy. It's something you need to work at to be kind. And it's true. It is true that it's difficult to be kind. And a quick aside, please go support Spotify and Joe Rogan. Spotify standing strong. There's a lot of elitists trying to go at Joe Rogan because Joe Rogan dares to have people on that they want to blacklist and talk to them about anything. None of these people had a problem with Joe Rogan with his basically 1,750 episodes before he kind of started getting into certain stuff they didn't like, or maybe even 1,700 episodes. And now, because he just talks about whatever he wants and whatever he thinks, they want to stop him. And Spotify is standing strong. There's been a few artists that have pulled their music off the platform. There's more. Some idiots from the royal family are starting to call, or former royal family, calling for Spotify to do something about Joe Rogan. So please go show your support for Spotify and Joe Rogan. Any way you can, especially Spotify, kind of encourage them to stay strong and continue to be on the right side of free speech, and allowing Joe Rogan to continue to just do his great podcast. That's the most popular podcast on the planet by leaps and bounds, and the most popular media platform on the planet right now. The guy gets more listens to his show every time he puts it out than basically CNN does in a day, Fox News, CNBC, any of them. The viewership that he gets at his slot, with how many hours he puts in compared to what they do in their TV show separately, is second to none. So please go support that. But as I continue, like I said, Dr. Peterson said, it's extremely difficult to always be kind. It's a practice. It's something you got to do. And he's completely right. If you ever noticed, it's just easier to not do anything. It's easy to sit on your couch. It's easy to watch TV. It's easy to say, I wanted to work out today. It's easy to say, I wanted to do that. I wanted to do this. And you find every reason not to do those things. Negative things creep in all the time. Being negative and constantly feeling down and not doing things and, I'm just so tired. And, those are all negative feelings and negative emotions. And it's true too. Life sucks. Go to work, come home. You're exhausted. You don't want to do anything else. But it's also really taxing. Being negative, not being motivated, doing nothing is also extremely taxing mentally and physically. Mentally, because you're not challenging yourself ever. You're not doing anything. So you're just brainlessly either scrolling on social media, watching TV, scrolling through, Netflix, binging those types of things. And physically, the more you just don't move, the more you hurt yourself. Doesn't matter how you eat, what you do in that side. If you're not complementing it with some exercise, then you're not going to, you're not going to feel good. You're not going to have the energy that you normally would have. So there needs to be a balance there. And one of the things that I found that helps keep me motivated is I've experienced real passion for things. Doing these podcasts, that's a passion. I enjoy this. Talking into a microphone, nightly, essentially with The Daily Show. It was weekly for a while. I did 3 shows a week for a little bit, like real, intense shows where I was interviewing and things like that. And that kind of burned me out. But overall, it's something I'm passionate about. I really enjoy doing this. So I experience passion. I've coached at the collegiate level and high school level, track and field over at my alma mater at Marist. Did some track over at my high school, Manchester Township, and also coached football there. And I'm passionate about that stuff. I really enjoyed it. I was an athlete. I competed. I won championships at the high school level in track and field. I've known success as an athlete, and I was extremely passionate as an athlete and competitive, but nothing compared to the feeling of being a coach and watching my athletes succeed. It is a very intoxicating feeling. It's a different high when you are helping somebody do something that they know they can do, and then they do it and you achieve it with them. It's amazing. But not everyone's going to experience that because not everyone feels the same way I do. I'm passionate about these things. I'm passionate about politics. I'm passionate about sports. I like to talk. I have found my passions. And because of that, I know what real happiness is. And, it's a different type of happiness. You can have your family. You can love your spouse. You can love your kids. You can love your family. You can have happiness with them. And it's a different type of happiness and euphoria that you feel with them. But to have truly inner happiness doing something that you enjoy doing, something you're passionate about, is a very different type. And it's something that's needed. You need to have it all. You really need to have that love for family, that love for friends. But you also need to have that love for things that you do internally, because that is what's motivating you to do other things. It all compounds on each other. And once you figure out what your passion is and what you can do to really achieve that happiness, that internal happiness where you kind of get in your zone and you get happy and you're doing what you're doing and you're having fun doing it, it's so much easier to then turn around and start to be kind, to be a nicer person overall. And I know it's hard right now. It's really hard right now with all the things that are going on with politics, with COVID-19, and just all the seeming division and separation that has happened in our society. But I'm going to tell you, that's not completely true. That separation exists. Don't get me wrong. We have different philosophies from each other, but we are not so far apart from each other as they're making it seem on social media, in the media on TV, what you hear, and just kind of the talking points that get circulated around. We're not there. We still have a lot of similarities. When it comes to our kids in schools, we all want our kids to be safe and learn. That is a common thing. When it comes to the rights and wrongs of killing, nobody wants unnecessary death for the most part, unless you're a sociopath, and then you've always been on the outside. But nobody wants those things. We still have a lot of common ground with each other. And we know we do. We still enjoy the freedoms as Americans. We all enjoy them together. And whether we like to acknowledge that we have those freedoms or not, even saying that you don't have those freedoms and saying it loudly and publicly is a freedom that most other places in the world don't have. So we're seeing all this negativity. And it's real easy to get down when you see it. And like I said, I did 2 straight weeks of angry shows. It's not, I enjoy what I'm doing here. I'm passionate about it. So it helps me to, I guess, kind of look past it a little bit. But it kind of sucked reading it all and reading probably a few hundred articles where it's negative, negative, negative. Biden this, Trump that, Ukraine this, China that, Middle East, blah, 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 domestic, immigrant crisis, Canada. It's so much going on, negative. And that's all that gets reported, though, because it's damn near impossible to find a good story. But getting back to what Jordan Peterson said, it is difficult to be kind. But I feel the first step to being kind is finding a passion, a positive passion too, because there are negative passions. Don't get me wrong. You could be passionate in a negative way as well, and it manifests into negative things. But what I'm saying that you need is to find something constructive that you enjoy. And maybe it's something you used to do. Maybe in high school, you wrote a lot of poetry and you never wanted to show anyone. That's fine. You don't have to show anyone anything. But maybe it was something that gave you some inner peace. What's stopping you? What's stopping you? I know you're binging shows. I know you're scrolling through social media. That's mindless. That's easy. That's not anything that's going to help you. Pick up that notebook. Get an empty notebook, a flip book. Write things down. Do something like that. We all have something that we enjoy. If it's guns, make sure you find time to go to the range at least once a week, twice a week. If it's fishing, go fishing. Do things that make you happy internally as well. Because when you find that type of happiness, again, it makes it so much easier to be kind to others. And that's where it starts. So because of that, I got to thinking, I'm tired of only doing negative articles. And I want to start each week off with something good, with positive. So this is going to be Positivity Mondays. I'm hoping they can continue to be a thing. But if today was any indicator, it's going to be difficult. It was damn near impossible to find any good news. And that's a sad state of affairs that I think we all know that there are still plenty of good individuals. I'd like to say that most people, I don't buy into the theory that people aren't evil, because I do think there are evil people. I don't buy into the theory either that most people are good. I kind of feel like most people are kind of indifferent, but there are still a lot of good people out there. A lot of good individual people that then inspire others to do good and kind of branch off into that. And it's hard to find. And that's pathetic. And that's a lot of your major news networks, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, the AP, anywhere you go on these major networks, you search their pages, you can scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. And there is not a single truly even partisan good news on there. I couldn't even find, I lean to the right. I couldn't even find good news from a right leaning perspective. And not even from the left leaning. There's some things, I guess, progression about climate change. There were a few things there. And I guess that if you are a climate change person, that could be your positivity there. And good for you. If that's going to be your positive thing, that's great. But it's extreme. You have to dig to find that. And it's pathetic. I quite literally had to Google search good news. And things like the Good News Network popped up and certain other places that are just dedicated to positive news. And God bless you. God bless you all. Whether I agree with some of the news you consider positive or not. There was one that was completely dedicated to kind of social justice stuff, which I'm not a fan of the whole social justice movement in the way it's presented itself, because I think it's underlying a lot of evil shit. But at least they're trying to keep an uplifting thing. Because again, if you're somebody that buys into the current iteration of the critical theories that create social justice, you'll read these and maybe be uplifted and get hope out of them. Not a terrible thing. Hope is not a terrible thing. It's why Obama won his presidency with hope and change, because people love and need hope. It created positivity there. But I had to actually search good news to find something. And even then, a lot of political stuff popped up. Everything is becoming political. And that's scary. That is a really, really, really scary thing, that everything is becoming political, because that is not good. That is not a good way to live. That is not a good thing to be. We don't want to become the country where everything is political. Because I know, Benito Mussolini had a very, very, very famous quote: everything within the state, nothing outside the state, nothing against the state. And that just means that everything is the government. Everything is politics. It is all political. There is nothing around you that isn't political, that isn't the state. And that's scary. And if we're sitting there and looking at media and everything is politics, everything is government, everything is the state, everything goes back to that, that is not a good way to be. So to maybe try and break that cycle a little bit, I'm going to try every Monday, try my damnedest. And anyone out there throughout the week, if you find a good news article, send it to me. Please send it to me and I will read it over. And if I really like it enough, I may go over it on the show. But please just send them to me. I'm itching for them. They could be local. They don't have to be a big national story. They could be local. They could be from wherever the hell around the world. Just give me something positive, because I really want to talk about that. I don't agree with George Stephanopoulos on much from ABC, but I do appreciate the fact that he does try to do one good story on the international ABC news that he does every weekend. He tries to throw in one good story, and that's great. I'm going to try and mimic that a little here with the articles that I read and go over, because I think that that's needed. It'll be good for my soul to do something positive to start the week off and then go back into my normal cycle of ripping things up for 4 more days. But I think it's something that's needed. Before we jump into the article that I like, I just have to talk about 2 of the runners up that I found because I thought they were cool. And, it's not only necessarily going to be like super uplifting. It could be just something cool, something different, because even something different that's not politics, that's not negative, is still good. Doesn't have to be this positive, uplifting story. The one I did find is very uplifting and positive, but still. Runners up, the Air Car, which is quite literally what it sounds like. It's a flying car, got an EU flight certification. It was already street legal. And after 70 hours of flights, 200 plus takeoffs and landings, it got a certification. So there's a chance that we could be seeing flying cars. And this car made it from Nitra to Bratislava in 35 and a half minutes. That's 55 miles, I think, or 47 miles in the air in 35 and a half minutes. That's not bad. It's not bad. And this company, I think it was Klein Vision, they are trying within 12 months to get these things into production. You're going to need a pilot's license to fly them. So it's still going to be a limited number in the air, but we'll see if they can kind of work around those types of things eventually. If it becomes big enough, who knows what type of license you'll need to eventually fly these things. So that's cool to me. That's a cool story. Go, if you just search Aircar EU flight cert on Google or DuckDuckGo, whatever you use, it'll pop up. Cool stories. There's a ton of them. It's a cool thing to me that science is cool like that. Flying cars or something. If I used to watch the Jetsons and seeing those things were just awesome. I always wanted one of those. We saw, flying cars. Star Wars has all those. I think Minority Report had them. A lot of these kind of quote unquote futuristic things, they always feature flying cars. Here we are. We have autopilot. We have GPS. We can kind of get them in the air and kind of let them autopilot where they go. The GPS would, in theory, keep them all away from each other. And this could be a thing, or it could not. We'll find out. I just think it's something cool to check out. It's, new science, new technology is always fun. Speaking of science, another one, getting into my super nerdy zone here. A big breakthrough in energy happened. U.S. scientists have achieved a momentary sustainable fusion reaction, as opposed to our current nuclear power with fission that we have, which is extremely unstable, still extremely clean, but unstable. This technology of fusion is much more stable, much more controllable, and I'm pretty sure what they said is damn near unable to melt down. So it said we're still light years away, a pretty long ways away from getting this to be enough energy to put out and really help power anything. But it's a huge breakthrough that they were able to do this. And one thing we know about human intuition, number one, as long as the grant money's there, they don't give up. They will continue to search this, and successes like this will bring in a ton more grant money. Number two, we achieve shit. Humankind succeeds and achieves things. So don't doubt that even though scientists say, we're a long ways away from this, a breakthrough can occur. And just because these US scientists got it done here doesn't mean there aren't all scientists around the world working on the same thing. And we're going to see what they did here, replicate it, and then bring their own ideas in that might make it even go quicker and further. So really cool. Again, look up US scientists, fusion reaction, something like that. There's a bunch of articles on it too. Really cool. Could be revolutionary for energy, because if we can harness nuclear fusion, we will never need any other energy again. It's sustainable. It's clean. It's environmentally friendly. It will be expensive at first, but like anything else, once we get good at it, we mass produce it. Its energy will be as regulated price-wise as anything else. So we'll have to wait and see, but it's a cool undertaking. And if you are a green person and you're into sustainable energy, there it is. The most sustainable energy we have. If you're not a green person and you don't like the sustainable energy, there we go anyway. Excuse me. Nuclear is the best of both worlds, especially non-meltdown nuclear. Even though the current fission reactions that we have, we keep on shutting down nuclear plants because of the fear of Chernobyl and, things like that. Very likely not to happen anymore. But the fear is really good. Fear does a lot of things to people. So we're shutting down nuclear plants left and right, which isn't smart, but I digress. We're sticking with the positivity here. So go look at that article. That's a cool article. But we're going to do the one that I found. And it's in the realm of football. Now, last week, not this weekend, last weekend, the Chiefs and Buffalo Bills, Kansas City Chiefs and Buffalo Bills may have had the greatest playoff game, definitely one of the greatest playoff games in the history of football. It was up and down the field. It was a close game. It was an epic 42-36 game, ended in overtime. And it was just an unbelievable game. But what came out of this game is one of the most beautiful things you will ever see. So I'll read you the headline, read you the story. We could talk about it. Story was written by Jason Wolf. It's from Buffalo News. Headline: Chiefs, Giants fans donate $479,000 to, I'm going to butcher this, Oishé Children's Hospital, approach largest Bills Mafia campaigns. Let me repeat that. 479,000 in donations from Kansas City Chiefs and New York Giants fans to a children's hospital in the Buffalo area. Let's read the article. Chiefs Kingdom continues to spread the wealth, and New York Giants fans are joining in. The John R. Oishé Children's Hospital in Buffalo has received more than $479,000 from more than 21,000 donors, most of them in the Kansas City area, as of Monday afternoon, as a show of respect to Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen and Bills fans. Donations began to pour into the nonprofit medical facility after the Kansas City Chiefs rallied from a three-point deficit with 13 seconds down to play in regulation and earned an epic 42-36 overtime victory in an AFC divisional round playoff game Sunday night at GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium. So stop right there. The team that won the game, the Kansas City Chiefs, and their fans decided that it was the right thing to do to donate money to the opposing quarterback's charity of choice. How beautiful is that? How beautiful is that? That a show of sportsmanship amongst the fan base to benefit something in the rival team's area. If that doesn't touch you right there, then you might not have a pulse. Let's keep going. Most of the donations are for $13 to commemorate the comeback, $17 for Allen's jersey number, and $32 for Allen's and Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes numbers combined. Oishé has also received donations of $117 and 1,017 increments. The total surpassed $400,000 late Thursday. Now, let's just stop for a second here. $400,000 is a lot of money. Especially going into hospitals like this, they need donations all that they can. In these children's hospitals, they take on some of the worst things that are happening to kids and some of the most expensive stuff. And it's really hard on families. So this is something that is touching. It's amazing. And if you're looking for what sports are about, this is what they're about. And I'll have more to say about kind of the sports aspect of this later. Let's keep going. Giants fans joined in Friday, encouraged by Barstool sports writer Justin Clemenza after the franchise hired former Bills assistant general manager Joe Schoen as general manager and former Bills offensive coordinator Brian Daboll as the head coach. Now, tell me that's not cool. Tell me that's not cool, man. That number one, the influence of Barstool is fantastic right now. And I hope Barstool understands what their influence is right now. I think they're seeing it. I think Dave Portnoy understands it. I hope the writers and a lot of the people that work there, especially the ones that gain the blue check marks and really gain notoriety and are on podcasting, the big podcasts and stuff like that. I really hope they know what they got going on. They're influential individuals, whether they mean to be or not. And they can decide how to use their influence. This individual, Justin Clemenza, Clem, is doing it the right way. Let's read his tweet here. Clem tweeted, Giants fans are excited for the Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll hirings, but they probably don't get jobs without Josh Allen's success. So let's donate $17 to the Oishé Children's Hospital that Josh supports as a thank you to him and the Bills Mafia. What a cool thing to do. This needs to be normalized, and you'll see it has been normalized more, but this needs to be, I hate the term quote unquote, this needs to be normalized, but this needs to be something that becomes a thing where, we're grateful for something or something occurs and the fan bases are massive on all these teams. And, small donations like this can go a long way. Let's keep going with the article. Quote, who could have anything but respect for the Bills, Josh Allen, and obviously what the Bills Mafia does, end quote, said Brett Fitzgerald, the Chiefs fan who sparked the viral charitable campaign on social media by posting about his initial $13 donation on Facebook and Twitter. Fitzgerald, 41, who has a son with autism, said he Googled Allen's charity of choice and found stories about how Bills fans donated more than $1 million to Oishé Children's Hospital last season in honor of the quarterback's late grandmother. The outpouring of generosity led to the creation of the Patricia Allen Fund, which directs 100% of its resources to charitable giving and events, according to Andrew Bennett, the vice president of the Children's Hospital of Buffalo Foundation, the medical facility's philanthropic arm. That's absolutely amazing that this is a charity that actually does what it's meant to do. That's got to be a big success here, because we've all, I think, been spurned by charities where we've heard about these awful practices. You donate to this one, and they're only giving 47 cents on the dollar, or this and that, blah, 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 blah. And I think we kind of become skeptical of charities. And with good right, this is our hard-earned money that we're putting into that. And we're expecting it to go to whatever that charity says. And when you find out that it's going to board members, or it's going to just do some dumb shit with it, not to the charity, that's the type of stuff that gets people pissed off. It's nice to see that this fund is doing its job. Let's keep going. We got into more details about that. The nonprofit otherwise spends an extremely efficient 97 cents of every dollar on charity, according to its federal tax returns, which is fantastic. Of course, they need to take something to run the operation. So they're running 3 cents per dollar to run their operations. That's a beautiful thing. It received an average of about $5 million per year in public support from 2015 to 2019. The most recent recent public available records show, which means more than $1 million in donations from Bills Mafia last season, and the more than 400,000 from Chiefs Kingdom this week, represent significant boosts of financial resources. Quote, "We're so thankful. We're grateful. It's just incredible," end quote. Bennett said about the deluge of donations from Chiefs fans. Quote, "Needless to say, that's going to make a great impact on all the families that we're caring for every single day. Many of them are in great need. 7 out of 10 families coming through our doors cannot pay for their own health care. And there are so many layers to that: the equipment side, the physician, the nurse side, and the family experience side. All of this stuff needs support. And in my mind, from a fundraising standpoint, there's never really a ceiling to it. Every dollar counts. It really does." So just listen to that. Just listen to that. This money is having so much of an impact. So much of an impact. Like you said, 7 out of 10 families can't pay for their own healthcare to go in there. It's tough, man. Having kids is expensive enough. If you have to deal with serious, legitimate ailments that require your kids to be in a children's hospital, that's damn near terrible. It's not only debilitating you as a parent to see your kids suffering, having to go to these types of things, it's even worse when you can't afford it, or you think you can't afford it, and you're going to do it. You're going to do it for your kid. You're just going to, you figure it out. You figure it out. But this is helping families figure it out. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Let's keep going. Oxford Pennant, the Buffalo company behind the, quote, touchdown plow, announced that its separate playoff fundraiser raised about $10,000 for Oishi Children's Hospital, and that it would match 3,000 in donations from Chiefs fans to make it an even 13,000. 13 seconds. There you go. The whole 13's in play there. The company presented Oishi with the check of $13,017 on Wednesday. FanDuel, an online gambling company, announced a $52,000 donation to Oishi on Thursday, an amount that it said represents $13,000 for each of Allen's touchdown passes to wide receiver Gabriel Davis in the game. The last score gave the Bills a 36-33 lead with 13 seconds left to play. The company's CEO, Amy Howe, is a Buffalo native. Again, really cool stuff going on. And it's always cool when when kindness becomes infectious. And believe me, kindness is infectious. Kindness, it doesn't have to be these gigantic donations. Just look what happened. The guy gave $13, and we're now at well over 400,000, 450,000, starting from $13. Kindness is infectious in the best way. Let's continue going. Sorry, my throat's a little hoarse here, so drinking a lot of water, so don't mind me in the water and sound in the back. The Grassroots Chief Kingdoms campaign ranks among the largest of its kind in recent history, both in terms of the number of donors and money raised. More than 27,000 donors from around the world contributed to $1.15 million to Oishi in memory of Allen's grandmother in November of 2020. More than 18,450 Bills fans donated $553,000 to Blessings in a Backpack in January 2021 after Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson was concussed in the Bills' divisional round playoff victory. And the trend began when more than 17,000 Bills fans donated $442,000 to the Andy and Jordan Dalton Foundation in 2018 after the then Cincinnati Bengals quarterback threw a late touchdown pass to defeat the Ravens in 2017 regular season finale, which ended the Bills' 17-year playoff drought. Quote, "I'm absolutely blown away by the gratitude," said Kevin Forrest, the first Bills fan to donate to the Dalton Foundation. "Our season came to a sudden end, but this eases the blow knowing real good is resulting from it. Anybody that knows our fan base wouldn't be surprised it started with us. Everything is cyclical, and the fact that Buffalo will benefit from others' kindness transcends football. The fact that this is a thing is just surreal." And that's the article. And I have to say, I'm a Jets fan. I hate the Bills. But God, this is way bigger than fandom. And you could see that. You know, what he said at the end is perfect. It's perfect. The fact that Buffalo will benefit from others' kindness transcends football. It really does. It really does. And if you know anything about the Bills Mafia fan base, they're absolutely fucking insane. They throw themselves through tables. They're rowdy. They're insane. You know, they are as passionate as it gets on the football field. But if you didn't notice, like I said, passion and true happiness leads to knowing kindness. And look at that. They've turned their passions into being the most charitable fan base on the planet. The most charitable fan base on the planet. And it's not even close. You have to look, they've donated between themselves over $1 million, $2 million between themselves since 2018 to 2020. Over $2 million between going to Oishi from Alan's grandmother passing away to going to a Baltimore charity after Lamar Jackson got knocked out, and then going to Cincinnati for Andy Dalton to the Dalton Fund, Dalton Foundation. It's amazing. And it's things like this that I think we can really take a lot of notes from, because if you are a sports fan like I am, you know those passions run deep. Arguments, debates, fights, verbal and fist happen because of fandom. There's legitimate hatred. There's legitimate rivalry. There's vitriol between two of the most hated fans. Tom Brady announced, well, he didn't announce, there was announcing that he would be retiring. He just came out and said on a podcast, "I'm literally day to day." So who knows if Tom Brady's going to stop torturing me. But overall, Tom Brady, I hate the man. I respect him. He's the greatest of all time, but I don't like Tom Brady. It has nothing to do with Tom Brady either. Nothing to do with him as a person. It has nothing to do with anything there. It has to do with football. The man tortured me as a Patriot for 20 years. And when I'm me being a Jets fan, I don't, they're saying I hate him. I don't know if I actually hate him, but I hate him enough to say it because passionate. I'm passionate about sports. The passion runs deep. But then you notice things like this here, where fandom gets put aside just to be friendly. And they're not doing it to rub it in anybody's face. Like a little bit, sure, $13 for the 13 seconds, but you're doing it in the best way ever. No one's going to ever be mad if your way of rubbing something in somebody's face is creating good, is giving money to help kids, to help people. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And this type of stuff here gives me hope. It gives me a little hope that we can move past some of the political bullshit. Because bottom line here, not every Bills fan is a Democrat or Republican, either or an independent. Not every Chiefs fan is a Democrat, Republican, independent, but nobody asked each other. No one said, donate $13 only if you're a Democrat or only if you're a Republican, or do this only. No one cared about the politics of this. They just did it. It was the right thing to do. It was the nice thing to do. It was the kind thing to do. They could have been dicks. They didn't have to do anything. Could just rub their nose in it and it would have been fine. They won. The Chiefs won the game. They didn't have to do anything for the Bills. They didn't have to do anything for Buffalo. They didn't have to do anything for Josh Allen's foundation. But one fan, one act of kindness went viral. And sometimes it's the beauty of social media. Social media could be damn near terrible, but it can also be fucking fantastic. This is the beauty of social media. This is the beautiful side of sports. And this gives me hope that in the near future, we could see things like this and realize it doesn't matter. No one's going to take a survey of the demographic of who they vote, who they give a shit about politically in their donations. You know what they care about? That they're Chiefs fans. They're also Giants fans that are donating now. And it's just a cool thing to do, a nice thing to do. It's a good fad to jump on, a positive thing to do. And I really hope this continues. I really hope we see more of this. I hope it goes into more sports too, because fan bases are deep in all the major sports: baseball, basketball, football, hockey, soccer around the world. I hope this starts to transcend because it's one of the coolest things about sports right now. And hats off to Bills Mafia. They've been at the center of it all. They started it. And I really think that they could spark something, because I think there's enough good people in fan bases that this can happen, and it can happen often. It doesn't have to be 500,000, 400,000, a million. If this type of thing, if you raise $100,000, $10,000, $50,000, doesn't matter. Any amount that wasn't there before, that's just a charitable donation, is amazing, needed, and welcome from any of these groups. So this is a positive, something good to take out of the shitty world that we are told all the time. And we need to start sending a message to places like CNN, places like Fox News, places like, anywhere, any of the major places where you get your from. This is the type of stuff we want to know about. We want to know more positive stuff because it feels good. It feels good to talk about positive stuff sometimes. So let's keep going. And let's all try to be a little more positive. Find some passion. Find some good passion in your life. Find some real happiness for yourself and just be kinder. Instead of engaging in an argument because you heard someone say something you don't like politically, hold the door for them. Be kind. It'll go better. You'll feel better. I promise you'll feel better about it. But all right, that's the show. I hope you enjoyed Positivity Monday. I really think that it's something that we can do. I'm hoping I can find more positive stories. I really do. I'm going to keep my ears to the ground for them. It'll be something from throughout the week, because this story's been developing since 2 weeks ago. The Chiefs are out of the playoffs. They just lost this past weekend. So this happened 2 weeks ago. It started. So it's a little bit of an older story, but the number is as of 2 days ago, as of the 28th. So 479,000 as of January 28th. It could be more now. It's probably more. It's probably eclipsing 500,000. But I'm going to keep my ear to the ground for these types of stories all throughout the week. And hopefully we can find something, because Positivity Monday, I feel, could be a good thing. And it could be different. It's something we need. We need more of it. It's too much negative nonsense going on. We need more positive. Okay, though. So if you like the podcast, I always appreciate everyone that takes the time to listen here. Give it a like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars, share the word, tell everybody, hey, Positive Monday's cool. Listen one show. If you're going to listen to one show throughout the week, pick Positivity Monday. You're going to hear some good stuff. If you want to hear me rip apart some stuff that I don't like, come the rest of the week. And if there's a nice story, I'll sneak it into. I'm not opposed to having a positive story Tuesday through Friday, but I'm dedicating Monday to it. So let's hope we can keep this going. Again, socials, Alex Cuesta Show. Go search it anywhere you can find one. And I'll see everybody tomorrow. Thanks for listening all.